Hello and welcome to the Irish in the UK, and a very big thank you to Henry McGlade for his show for the last half hour. Now, coming up on the show this week, we are in Whitefield for a very special coffee morning. We'll be attending the Radisson Blu Hotel in Manchester for the Cooperation Ireland Gala Ball, and we'll be having some fantastic dancing from the Real Rhythms dance troupe. So we hope you enjoy it. Now, first up, we are off to St Michael's Parish Centre in Whitefield near Bury for a coffee morning to raise some funds for Macmillan Cancer Support. Angela, tell me a little bit about when the parish hall was established here and how it's doing.
The parish hall was our former church before we had a new church built in September 2000. We have lots of things going here. About once a month we have a tabletop sale, we have the parish Christmas fair. It's open for bookings during the day and the evening for parties, keep fit groups. Every day there is something, and it enables us to have our own parish brownies, guides, rainbows.
Now, Jean, of course, we're here this morning to try and raise some money for Macmillan Cancer Support. How is it all going?
It's going very well, actually. We've had a lovely support from the public, and of course we're here from 10 till 12, so anybody who comes is very, very welcome. And it's a very, very good charity too. Personally, my sister actually went through cancer 8 years ago, so it does have a little bit of meaning for me as well.
And of course, it's a great community spirit here as well this morning. Lots of your friends and neighbours have turned out to try and support it.
Yes, they are very, very good. They're here from St Bernadette, St Michael's, and anyone from the area is always very welcome. We open the doors and we advertise well. So it's going very, very well indeed.
I do a lot of volunteering here at St Michael's, along with all the other women as well. We're just, there's 8 of us that volunteer here at St Michael's, and we do all sorts of things, like we do this Macmillan Coffee Morning for the last 3 years. We do tabletop sales on a Sunday once a month. We do a Christmas fair in November. We have a couple of craft fairs a year. And it's really good, but we could do with more volunteers, really.
Now, of course, you've been heavily involved here with St Michael's for a long, long time. You've lived in Manchester for a long time. You're a great Mayo lady. But tell me about when you first left home.
When I first left home in 1964, the 4th of August 1964, I had just done my Intercert, or GCSEs as they call them in England. My mother walked me out to the bus, which was out at the end of the road. Now, the bus only came once a week. If you missed the bus, you had to wait till the next week. And it only came on a Wednesday. So I know the 4th of August was a Wednesday. So she said to me, this is the advice she gave me as a 16-year-old leaving home, coming to another country. She said, now you're going to a foreign country. Don't bring any shame and disgrace on this house. I really didn't know what she was talking about. Go to Mass every Sunday. Don't speak to any of them English people over there because they're all pagans. And if you want to know anything, ask a policeman. So I got all the way to Dublin. So got onto the boat. It was the cattle boat. It took 9 hours to come from Dublin to Liverpool. And it was the cattle boat. So they let the cattle off before they let us off. So I got off anyway, and there was a bus to meet us, and it took us right into Lime Street Station in Liverpool. And the first train that came along was for Manchester. So I got on it. Didn't know where I was going, didn't know a soul. So I got off at Central Station, which is now the GMEX Centre. And I was with my case, and I was just wandering around thinking, where am I going to go or what am I going to do? And the next thing, the station master, who was a lovely, lovely man, came over to me. And he said to me, have you just got off that boat train? So I said, yes. He said, are you meeting somebody, or is somebody meeting you, or do you know where to go? So I said, no, I don't know anybody. I've just come from the west of Ireland, Mayo. So he said, right, come on over here, he said. And there was a massive big notice board with all rooms to let and things like that on it. So he said, let's have a look at this. So I looked down this board and he said, oh, look, he said, this is Mrs. McGillan. He said, she's looking for a lodger. She sounds Irish. So he said, if you wait for me, I'm finished in 10 minutes' time and I'll take you to the bus stop. I said, oh, that'd be great. So I did wait for him. He took me to the bus stop in Owlblood Square and told the bus driver, he said, let this lady off, let this young girl off at the Shakespeare on Stockport Road and make sure she crosses the road. Now, he said to me, be careful crossing that road. It's a very big road. And of course, I'd never seen traffic lights or anything. I didn't know what to do. So I gets off anyway, and the bus driver waits till I cross the road, and he said to me, I'd take the first right and then the first left, and that's Lee Grove, and go to number 22, which I did. And it was an Irish woman that opened the door, and her name was Mrs. McGillan, and she was from Limerick. So I was fine then. She got me a job, my first job in Woolworths, on the sweet counter. And then about 4 months afterwards, I still stayed with Mrs. McGillan, and I come home this day, and this baby was in a cot. And I said to her, where have you got that baby from? She said, well, from the usual place. So I said, but you don't grow any cabbages here. So she said, what do you mean? I said, well, when my brother was born, one of the neighbours come in and said, look what I found under the heads of cabbages. I said, you don't grow cabbages here, so where have you got this baby from? So she said, I think I need to have a word with you. And she told me. Well, I was completely disgusted. Absolutely disgusted.
Well done to everyone who came along to support a great cause. Now, I'm off to the Radisson Blu Hotel in Manchester for the Cooperation Ireland Gala Ball. See you there. Peter, tell me a little bit about Cooperation Ireland. When was it first formed?
So it was founded in 1979 by Dr. Brendan O'Regan from County Clare, and he founded on the basis of building mutual respect and understanding across the island of Ireland just after the Troubles broke out.
Of course, it's great to see Cooperation Ireland so much involved in the forefront of the peace between Northern Ireland, Ireland and of course Britain. Yeah,
we like to see three relationships are important to us. One is the British-Irish relationship, two is the relationship between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and three is the relationship between communities within Northern Ireland.
And of course you were heavily involved with the Queen's visit to Ireland as well, and many other historic moments.
Yes, we were closely involved with that first state visit by Her Majesty the Queen, but also then the reciprocal visit of President Higgins to the UK for the first time ever. And then a short time after that, that first meeting between Martin McGuinness and Her Majesty the Queen. And
of course it's really important, especially for the Irish diaspora abroad, that we've got a good relationship with England and Ireland for us all to live here.
Well, there are so many people who, from both sides of these islands, who live in each other's communities, who visit each other's communities, who holiday in each other's communities. So the relationships, these are small islands, and they're critically important, the relationships that we have with our closest neighbours.
How do you think Brexit is going to affect Northern Ireland, the Republic and Britain?
Well, we hope that whatever the end result in this is, first of all, that there is no impact on the peace process, that the peace process is protected. Secondly, the common travel area is protected. Thirdly, that there is little or no impact on the border, physical or otherwise impact on the border. Fourthly, that there's no economic isolation for the border communities. And fifthly, that we build to strengthen and deepen British-Irish relationships during what are going to be difficult and testing times.
Great evening. I suppose we're here to support Cooperation Ireland and the work that they do north-south in Ireland and also between different communities in Ireland. But it also is a chance for the Irish community in Manchester to get together and come together for an evening. So it's been a fantastic evening.
It is, and of course it's great to see the embassy represented here and coming up to Manchester and joining in this occasion with the Irish community here.
Well, I suppose it's an opportunity for us to celebrate both the work of Cooperation Ireland and the support of the Irish government for that work, and also to support the Manchester community, because 1 in 5 Mancunians have a connection to Ireland, and the connections run very deep through music, through sport, through culture. And we have, generations of Irish people have made their home in Manchester. So I think this evening we're seeing all of that kind of come together.
And of course you're no stranger to Manchester. You're a great person for coming up and supporting things here, like St. Patrick's Day Parade and all the things that go on here in Manchester down the years.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, as part of my role, opportunities to come up to Manchester. So I've been here on a number of occasions for the St. Patrick's Festival, and of course Manchester has one of the biggest in Europe, and it's incredibly vibrant and fantastic event that happens in Albert Square here every year. And then the Irish World Heritage Centre is a fantastic centre for Irish community events, Irish cultural events. So when we have opportunities to come here with ministers visiting and other occasions, it's fantastic to get out of London and to be able to come up to Manchester. It's great to be working in a place where we have a fantastic Irish community, a very vibrant Irish community, and we have very strong interests between Ireland and the UK. It's a very important market for us, and of course Ireland is a very important market for the UK, and the UK and Ireland work well together on so many different areas. So we want to ensure that that continues, and that's the work of the embassy here.
Well, they're all having a great time at the Radisson Blu Hotel. Now make yourselves a nice cup of tea and we'll be back in a minute or two. Now we're back. I hope you enjoyed your nice cup of tea at home. Now don't forget, we're here every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock with Henry McGlade for the Irish at home and abroad, and I'm back at 7:30 with the Irish in the UK. Now we're heading back to the Radisson Blu Hotel in Manchester for the Cooperation Ireland Gala Ball, just to see how the celebrations are going. It's great to see that the peace process has been signed and going so well in Northern Ireland and Ireland, and of course Cooperation Ireland were heavily involved in that.
Indeed, we've been at the cold face of conflict resolution on the island of Ireland for the last, 30, 40 years, and the things that we've done to bring about reconciliation at all levels, both within the community, from bottom-up support for the political process, and from the politicians top down. Of course, it's been ongoing and constant work. And in Manchester here, you only know too well, just recently, of course, with a dreadful terrorist incident, you know too well what heartache that is, and the fact that the troubles are over. We need to cement that process and make the peace long-lasting and bring about reconciliation and integration within people in Northern Ireland.
Of course, you've been a very successful businessman down the years, but you're also involved in lots of other things, and I know that you're heavily involved with a special charity.
Well, I'm involved with all sorts of things, but Cooperation Ireland is by far my biggest commitment, and I've been involved in 2 state visits. The handshake, of course, with Martin McGuinness and his passing, makes me very sad. And we did a big event last year in London when the Queen's portrait was unveiled in my home in London, and we had all the leaders there that day, both from the British and Irish government and all the political parties in the north. And in a few weeks' time, we're going to Dublin, and the City of London are taking their mace, and that will be put alongside the Dublin mace. There'll be ministers from the British government and the Irish government, lots of ministers at that big dinner, and both maces will be put together. And this will be a sign that London and Dublin, despite Brexit, are remaining very close.
And it's a worrying time, of course, for the Republic of Ireland to try and make sure that there isn't a hard border, because obviously a lot of the trade goes to Northern Ireland and across to Britain as well.
Yes, well, there's, I think it's €65 billion a year, which is an enormous amount of trade between Great Britain and Ireland. You know, we've got, it's an enormous relationship, and we've got to preserve that. And the Prime Minister, in an Article 50 letter, which, by the way, was first, I think, first went into print at the Cooperation Ireland event last November, but I saw it's way up the Article 50 letter that Ireland, the island of Ireland, is a huge priority in that Article 50 process. And I'm confident that the British government know it is and will address it as such, and are spending a lot of time considering and are determined that the relationship with Ireland will be both strengthened and deepened. And here I use the words of the Prime Minister Theresa May. As a result of the Brexit process, will be strengthened and deepened. And I've got those words, they're imprinted on my mind, and I continue to part of a mantra, and I hope that they continue as such.
We hope you enjoyed, Christopher. Great to see you here in Manchester, and well done to Cooperation Ireland.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Paul, tell me a little bit about the British and Irish Trade Alliance.
Established in 2012, would you believe, and it's hard to believe that time has gone so quickly. I established the organisation to create a platform and a forum for people to actually communicate with each other in business or social or otherwise. And to date, it's been a fabulous success. We have chapters in Ireland, we have chapters in London, we have a beautiful chapter in Liverpool, and now tonight, I suppose, is a platform to beginning the chapter perhaps in Manchester.
So basically, you're trying to encourage trade between Ireland and England.
Well, I suppose if you go back to the last couple of years when Ireland had went through its own problems economically, it was important that those who left looked at what we could do in a positive way. And we were in a position, we were almost like the foot soldiers that could actually do something for people in Ireland when we were abroad. So what we did was we linked people up in business over here in the UK to Irish companies and told them of the resources that were available in Ireland and created a bit of business for them, and hence we created this tsunami of business really, because if you look at this market is quite a big market. We do a lot of trade. There's some fantastic Irish companies in Ireland, and we were able to assist them in creating opportunities and business links for them.
And even so, in the current climate, of course, the British and Irish Trade Alliance is even more important now, because there's a lot of uncertainty hanging over business in both countries.
There is, but I suppose, my father taught me one thing, and it's circle of life really. What's happening at the moment with Brexit is difficult, but it's not overcomable. We have fantastic history together. We've got to embrace that, and if you look at the relationship in terms of the peace process and in terms of business that we've built up over the last 15 years, we've got to continue in building them.
Now I've been joined by the MC on the night, the voice of Old Trafford, Mr. Alan Keegan. Alan, how have you enjoyed the night?
I think tonight's been a wonderful evening, Martin. Cooperation Ireland haven't done an event in Manchester for quite a few years, so I think it's great that they've come back to the north of England, and in particular Manchester, where there's a massive Irish community. And tonight's event has shown that. It's been wonderful, it's been well turned out, and they've done well with raising money through the auctions and the raffles and the silent auction, so it's been a great event.
It was very enjoyable, and of course there was great dancing as well from the Hester lads.
Oh, well, they're legends in Manchester, aren't they? Brendan and Kieran and the whole Hester family. And they did a great performance with Katie. They were absolutely superb. And the crowd really enjoyed him. I think it was good because it was during the meal and it was a nice part of the evening, and they were very much appreciated and went down very well indeed.
Of course, you're a very busy man. Vice of Old Trafford, really, really busy. And you've been all over the place with United this summer, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a busy time with United because obviously the season is getting the close season is getting shorter and shorter, and United were in America this year, and I was very privileged and honoured to be on the tour, mainly in LA because that's where Jose wanted us to be based and situated, but obviously they played games all over like Real Salt City and different places like Washington and things like this, but the tour was brilliant, and of course Jose's building his own team, and hopefully this year we've got a good start, we've set up on a good start, and hopefully we continue and can win the Premier League.
Now, Alan, I know when you're not working, you like to go to Ireland and chill out a little bit. Tell me about your holidays.
Yeah, well, obviously my family from the west of Ireland, originally from Leitrim, but we've got family in Ballina in County Mayo, and also we've got a soft spot for Inniscrone across the border in Sligo. So, yeah, my wife and I and the family, we always spend lots of time in the west of Ireland on the wild Atlantic coast, and it's a beautiful place, and it's so gorgeous to get away from it all. And of course now you can fly from Liverpool or Manchester into Knock Airport, and it makes it easy. So, you know, we're over there in an hour and we're enjoying the beautiful, well, I was going to say the beautiful weather, but the beautiful scenery of the west of Ireland, and it's great. It's very tranquil and relaxing.
Elaine, you must be delighted with the way things went last night.
Martin, I was absolutely thrilled. I was absolutely delighted, and I have to say thank you so much to the people of Manchester. Manchester is a wonderful city, and the support I got last night was enormous, and I'm so thrilled that Cooperation Ireland has come back here since 2009, and we're so glad to be back, and it's the first of many a brilliant do.
Well, Elaine, you put in so much into organising this virtually single-handedly, and it turned out to be a great night. And what a wonderful feedback for the oysters, for the reception, for everybody to come in.
Well, Martin, I was absolutely delighted about that. And you know what? The fact is the Oyster Festival was happening in Galway, and it was lovely that we brought the oysters to Manchester for the people that couldn't make Galway.
Yeah. And the Radisson Blu was a really lovely venue.
They made us feel so welcome. Everything was absolutely amazing, and it was just, there's so many Irish in Manchester, and the support was incredible.
Now, you could tell everybody enjoyed the night because the music was really good, the band excelled, and the dance floor was packed out all night.
It was absolutely amazing. The Irish dancers, the oysters, Colleen, everything was just so fantastic. And you know what? Okay, it was a bit of a challenge, but you know what? It's going to be a brilliant annual event, and I'm so delighted that it was such a success.
And of course you had wonderful success with the auction. Alan Keegan done a great job there for you.
Alan Keegan is absolutely amazing, Martin, and you know what? It's so wonderful. Alan Keegan is the Voice United. Alan Keegan is known all over the world, in Japan, every place, and it's so wonderful that we had him as the MC. We are so lucky.
What a wonderful night, and it's great to see Cooperation Ireland back in Manchester, and we're all looking forward to the gala ball in November at the Dorchester Hotel in London. Now, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. You've all had your cuppa at home. Now I'm off for mine.